Welcome back to the State of Play. Now, it's often said, let justice be done, though the heavens may fall. But what is deemed justice in a politically charged context may differ vastly and possibly be divisive. My guest in the middle game, Advocate Muzi Sikhakhane, has represented everyone from Julius Malema to former President Jacob Zuma and now Public Protector Thulasizwe. Professionally, he's bound to represent any client as long as he's available to take a case. But I wanted to find out if there is a principle beyond that he feels strongly about with his clients that some would consider controversial.
Let me tell you, Thulasizwe, the people who tell you the distinction about law and politics are lying to you, right? In fact, it's like people who deny that there are conspiracies. It's usually people who are involved in a conspiracy that deny the existence of conspiracies. The people who do this know exactly that justice is a political notion, right? Courts are part of your political system. And so to believe that a system of law has no influences that are political is either naive or mischievous. I believe the latter. I think people are mischievous. And so law, because courts determine conflicts in society, you ask everyone who hates a particular litigant whether that hatred does not come from their conflict in society. They don't like the person politically, and therefore they transport that dislike into law. So because I don't like Thulasizwe Simelane in politics, Thulasizwe Simelane must be dealt with differently in law. So this intersection is always there. And one of the points that we must make about politics, without getting into the details of this case, is that every human being, whether we like them or we don't like them, must be treated equally by our courts, must be treated without bias, must be treated without prejudice. And the system must deal with each and every individual. That's what separates us from the jungle. That's why we are not animals. It's because we have systems we have created to look at people equally. And that's all I'm saying. So
do you ever get people saying to you, you are one of a club of advocates who tend to, quote unquote, represent rogues in our society?
Everyone who needs a lawyer may be called a rogue in some sections. No one comes to us to give us a hug and go away. Everyone who walks down this passage into my chambers is someone who's in trouble. And the role of a true advocate is the ability to not to judge a person who needs help. It's like, I've made this example before. Don't have a mortuary if you don't like dead bodies. People who need lawyers have adversaries. They've wronged the system. They are hurt. They have enemies. And a good lawyer and a proper lawyer does not mind about those things, but deals with the problem that's put on the table by that. And that's what our courts should be. And my lessons that I keep giving to people is that's what society, a modern society, should be. That if a guy is caught stealing at my house, does not mean when he goes to court, I must wish that he doesn't get due process. Due process is a right that each and every citizen must have, whether we like him or we don't. Justice is not the exclusive preserve of my friends or people we like.
Add the media then to that mix. Generally, our job, we see it as, being the eyes, the mirror to society, to basically reflect to society, to say, this is who you are, this is what's happening, these are the leaders you've elected, these are some of the activities they've been involved in, these are some of the people you've entrusted with institutions, and this is what they've been doing with those institutions. What is the impact of some of what we do in some of the work that you do in representing some of these clients that not everyone really likes?
Well, let me start by saying, you guys as journalists, you are not a homogeneous group. Some of you are genuine journalists. Others are not. You're serving interests of different people. You're serving interests of markets, you're serving interests of whiteness, and you're scared of your bosses where you work because they are part of the means of production. So not everyone who's a journalist is a journalist, just like not everyone who calls themselves a lawyer or a judge are genuine. But anyway, let's assume all of you are genuine. One of the things about the media for me is that you must first never look up to anyone. And the problems we have is that our journalists look up to some of us, to certain people, and therefore you give them the benefit of the doubt in how you cover stories. And I think that's dangerous. One of the things for me about the media is that if I'm friends with you, you must be able to report on my misdemeanors the same way you report on the misdemeanors of people you don't like. And so I think the challenge for the media is exactly the same challenge for everyone in society. The ability to confront your biases and to know that you are biased. That's what a judge should know and recuse themselves. That's what a journalist every morning must ask themselves. Would I cover this story this way if the person who's the subject was someone I like or dislike? And if your answer is yes, then you are genuine, you are honest, you are true to what you're doing. If your answer is no, I cover it differently depending on who I like. If you are a lawyer, you only want to represent people who are liked, then you are not a lawyer, you are in a popularity contest. And this job is not about that. So just like your job.
Are there examples that you can give of what you are talking about, that where the players different, what we do as journalists would be different in the way that we do it?
Yeah, there are. I mean, I don't want to give you names of people, they may sue me, but I do think in the context of corruption, which is a crime, you call it state capture, I think that's a farce to call a crime state capture. It's a political term. But one of the ways you should deal with a crime is that it shouldn't matter who is involved. In South Africa at the moment, someone who was called corrupt 7 years ago has now switched sides, is in a different faction, and somehow we are tolerant of them. We even call them men of integrity, stalwarts. So people, if you are not honest and fair about how you deal with wrongdoing, people just switch sides. And those who are hiding call themselves, they are fighting state capture or they are fighting corruption. The fact of the matter, a thief is a thief. And stop this thing of believing people who tell you to connect the dots about others. You don't have to connect the dots about themselves. Everybody must be subjected to the same scrutiny. Zuma, Cyril Ramaphosa, Pravin Gordhan, Tito Mboweni, every politician, every leader must fear scrutiny. And it's your job, our job as lawyers, your job as journalists, to put everybody in the same way and treat them the same way so that they do not trick society one day by calling themselves clean when they are not.
Transformation of the judiciary. Right now we're watching really sad episodes playing themselves out in the Western Cape division. Allegations, flying all over the place there about how things are being managed and being run, under the judge president there, John Hlophe. But I mean, it's just an example of one of those issues that sort of come to the surface and get us to focus on the judiciary. Are we making any gains there by way of a transformed judiciary that's representative of the demographics of our society, but not only demographics, but also in the way that it conceives and understands South African society?
I may be in trouble for what I'm going to tell you now.
I'm counting on this.
I think we make one step forward and 3 steps backwards. One step forward because we succeed in changing the demographics, right, in terms of color and everything, and that's important, color and gender, that's important. But one of the challenges I've asked those of you who are interested, who are journalists, and everyone in society, we must ask one fundamental question in South Africa. Who becomes a judge in South Africa, and why? Which type of practitioner is attracted to become the judge? And so once people are career judges, and they go there simply because they want a pension when they are 65 and all of that, you're going to attract bad individuals. And I do think we've made progress. But I think one of the 3 steps backwards is that I don't think we've really tested which type of individual has to play this very unique, rare role in society, which is being a judge. It's someone, I'm not saying it's someone who's not biased, but it's someone who's honest. 50% of being a judge, Thulasizwe, is law. The other 50 is being a good, honest, fair human being. And I'm not saying unbiased, but a fair human being is a human being who knows when they are biased, when they are pushing a particular agenda, when they are hoping for a particular outcome. Never be a judge in a matter where you are involved in a particular way or you hope for a particular outcome. Don't treat a matter like that. And I think we've made progress in getting it transformed, but I'm not so sure that we've made progress in getting the right human beings, because there are few. I wouldn't be a judge. I'm shocked sometimes when I see colleagues who are worse than me as human beings rushing to the bench, because I believe it's a job for a very few human beings who are honest, who are frank about themselves and their weaknesses. And I think we're lacking in that area, but we've made progress in other areas of the judiciary.
As usual, pulling no punches, Advocate Muzi Sikhakhane there. Thought-provoking conversation there with him. After the break, my take on the recent allegations against Deputy Minister Henrietta Bogopane Zulu and the allegations of nepotism in the training program for traffic officers in the Emalahleni municipality in Mpumalanga.